democracy and being free. Well, I ask, what about the freedom of young Americans who cannot donate grandiose sums of money to political candidates? What about the freedom of the immigrants whose focus is more on making the best life for their family, or the middle class family, or even the poor? Where is the freedom in living in a government that is bought out by individuals who coined their corruptive spending donations as activism? Being an activist means that you understand that the true power of a political campaign rests with the people, not with the dollar. As a college student, I have not made any major donations to political campaigns, but I am positive that I and many other students who traveled from DC to Ohio to get out the vote in 2012 did just as an effective job. While activism comes in many forms, it is not activism for an individual or a corporation to pour millions of dollars into the campaigns of politicians. Today, we as young people gather to challenge any law or policy that seeks to undermine our ability to actively participate as citizens. And we gather to say that this is our country, and that in a case of money versus people, the answer should be apparent: the people. Thank you.
Next up, we have Eric Pica, who is the president of Friends of the Earth.
Good morning. My name is Eric Pica, and I'm president of Friends of the Earth. We're an environmental advocacy organization, and we have groups in 74 countries around the world. And we are all watching today what the Supreme Court does with McCutcheon. And the reason is simple. We have a climate crisis going on, and we need the democracy. We need you. We need people to tell Congress that it's time to act. Unfortunately, McCutcheon, he's a coal executive. He wants to spend his money to buy politicians, unlimited money to buy politicians to prevent carbon pollution regulations. And it's just not McCutcheon, it's the Koch brothers. Citizens United released some of that money. The Koch brothers have come back and put more money in.
That's right.
The environmental community, Friends of the Earth, Friends Youth International, we stand here in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in the labor movement, with People for American Way, for U.S. PERG, because our democracy is not for sale.
That's right.
Let's say it again. Our democracy is not for sale. So Friends of Democracy, Friends of the labor unions, Friends of immigration reform, Friends of people over money, Friends of the Earth. It is time we make good. It is time we make good and tell Congress, tell the Supreme Court that our democracy is not for sale. It's time we start door knocking in state capitals and say, we need campaign finance reform. We need rules that put people over power, over money. This is our call. The environmental community, we cannot pass carbon regulations that protect the planet without campaign finance rules. There's a lot of money out there, billions of dollars, trillions of dollars that profit from this fossil fuel economy. Without good, clean campaign finance reform and limits on contributions, we will not succeed. We need your help. We are here to support you. We are here to say our democracy is not for sale. Thank you.
We have a special treat. Congressman Jim McGovern is here to say a quick hello. Please, Congressman, come up.
Thank you very much. Big money is calling the shots in the building across the street. And that's in large part because some of the decisions that have been made in the building behind me. And that has to change. We need Congress to get serious about true campaign finance reform and take the money out of the political system. And we need the Supreme Court to understand that people deserve, the people have the power in this country, and not corporations, and not millionaires and billionaires. We need to take our country back, and that's what this is all about. There is too much money in the political system. It is corrupting our system. It is ruining the lives of countless people in this country because of really bad decisions for big oil, for big banks, and against ordinary people. This is the moment we need to take a stand. We need to get our country back. Thank you.
Thank you to the Congressman who's been such a leader in this movement. I'd now like to introduce Courtney Height, who is a director of the Sierra Club's Democracy Program.
Short, okay. Hello, I'm Courtney Height, and I am proud to be here on behalf of the Sierra Club's 2.1 million members and supporters. Times like this are exactly why the Sierra Club started with our partners, the Democracy Initiative, a grassroots coalition of organizations coming together to take back our democracy. Our model is simple: get big money out of our system and get voters in. You would think that every American would want a democracy that actually works for every citizen. But the last few years and the last few days proved that we couldn't be further from the truth. It is not a coincidence that as the amount of money in our system has gone up, so have the number of crises our country faces. That's because there are wealthy individuals, corporations, and special interests out there who benefit from dysfunction. When Congress or our government doesn't work, it means there isn't anyone to enforce the laws that protect us as workers, as citizens, and protect our water and our air from pollution. So it makes sense that 80% of Americans agree that political money is halting action in our country on the greatest challenge our country faces. The question before the court today is, do we want to make that situation worse? When a huge majority of Americans are questioning whether our democracy actually works for us at all, do we want more money coming in from even fewer people? Let's be clear. The caps in question today apply to the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. 1,200 people. 1,200 people, that's less than went to high school, will be affected by this. And a good number of them are oil and gas and coal executives, including the person that brought the case here today, McCutcheon. And these people will say or do whatever they need to protect their profits and gut these safeguards that protect us as citizens of our country. All told, these sectors directly contributed $40 million directly to campaigns or to candidates in the 2012 election. So get rid of these caps, we'll see that number double, triple, and quadruple. And you'll see the influence of average Americans like you and I decimated. So what we say to this court is simple. If you want more shutdowns, side with McCutcheon. If you want more attacks on our air, water, and climate, side with McCutcheon. If you want more debt crises, side with McCutcheon. But if you want to move in a direction that protects the principle of democracy and equality and access to government for all Americans, draw the line here and fight back. Thank you. Next, we would like to bring up David Boris. David Boris is an executive committee member of the Main Street Alliance.
Thank you. Good morning. My name's David Boris, the owner of Hell's Kitchen Catering in Northbrook, Illinois, and a member of the executive committee of the Main Street Alliance, a national small business network. My wife Carrie and I started our business almost 29 years ago in a 900 square foot storefront with a small bank loan, a little help from our families, and a work ethic that often saw us working 15 hours or more a day. We now employ 27 full-time staff and another 80 part-time and seasonal workers. We're living the all-American small business dream. But I'm here on the courthouse steps today because that small business dream is at risk. I'm here to urge the Supreme Court to take seriously the dangers of big money's corrupting influence on our government, including how it threatens the future of independent small businesses in America. For small business owners like me, the last several years' momentum in favor of pay-to-play politics is simply bad for business. The Supreme Court has the opportunity now to stand on behalf of everyday Americans and everyday small business owners by upholding the aggregate limits on campaign contributions. The stakes could not be higher. There are those who will argue for striking down those limits in the name of business. But actual business owners know big money is no friend of hardworking, honest businesses. 75% of business executives surveyed, that's 3 out of every 4, said they believe that our current campaign finance system is nothing more than pay to play. We need to fix that, not make it worse. The The plaintiff in this case, Mr. McCutcheon, may call himself a small business owner, but he's really a coal industry millionaire and the chairman of a super PAC himself. He wants to be able to drop more than $123,000 on political contributions in a single election cycle. How many true Main Street small business owners could afford to do that? I'll tell you, in the real world, 97% of small business owners take home less than $250,000 a year. We are not the high and mighty. We do not have the resources to unfairly influence public policy for our narrow personal gain. We're the backbone of our local economies. We're the corner bakery, the neighborhood grocery store, the Main Street gas station, and yes, the community caterer. Small business owners believe in earning loyalty from customers, not buying it from candidates. We believe success in business should be based on a deep commitment to serving customers, not on who has the deepest pockets to buy influence. The elite donors who want to spend 6 or 7 figures in an election cycle can call themselves whatever they want. But to say they represent the interests of small business, that's just plain identity theft, pure and simple. If the court allows this supersizing of elite donor influence, it will make that old promise of government of the people, by the people, and for the people seem like a quaint and faint memory. It will render our government more beholden to a few deep-pocketed CEOs and far less responsive to the needs of local, independent small businesses like mine. If the court is serious about protecting our government and the economy from the corrupting influence of pay-to-play politics, there's only one thing to do: say no to supersizing the corrupting political influence of big donors. Thank you.
Democracy is not for sale. Our democracy is not for sale. And what do we need to do? We need to keep our eyes on the prize, right? That's right. Okay. Now I want to introduce Tom Blackton, who is a retired teacher and school principal from Bath, Pennsylvania, and an advocate with our wonderful ally, the Center for Community Change.
I am Tom Blackton from Pennsylvania, known as the Keystone State. In a few months, I'll be 81 years old. And I'm still standing here. The reason for this information is, of course, to state that I am one of the millions of senior citizens in the United States who depend on Social Security benefits for their subsistence. I am here today, like many others, to express my deepest concerns about the impact that the McCutcheon case could have on our democracy. In Pennsylvania, and there's a little bit of a story here, I live in a land lease manufactured home community owned by Equity Lifestyle Properties, which is chaired by Sam Zell, a wealthy donor of large sums of money to candidates and political action committees, and causes support that decimation of Social Security. It would be counterproductive for large manufacturing housing company owner to call for cuts to Social Security and retirement system that retirees living in such a in that community depend upon. I have contributed and invested money into the Social Security system since I was 21 years old, a period of 59 years, in public education, as a teacher, later on as an elementary and middle school principal for 38 and a half years. I am still working part-time in order to help cover my financial obligations. I continue to pay into that system, which is fair and easily maintained. And incidentally, it is not an entitlement. I paid into it. It's a retirement that I have put into it. I, as well as millions of Social Security recipients, have worked hard for the retirement. We need to
to be treated with respect. Those wealthy donors who desire to raise the campaign, the finance campaign, and unleash a cascade of big money for political candidates of their choosing is unfair and wrong. Their goal is control. This is unjust. I have lived my gift of years with Thanksgiving because I know that this gift is nearly 81 years old, and it's the gift of life itself. Any negativity in Social Security system that undermines my retirement would add years of my life rather than life to my years. What we seniors need is justice. Cicero, Roman philosopher back in 100 BC, and I was not there, stated no one should suffer wrong and public good is served. Thomas Hobbes, 17th century English philosopher, wrote, taking from no man what is his. And Porter Stewart, a former U.S. Associate Supreme Court Justice from the past, expressed, ethics is knowing the difference between what you have a right to do and what is right to do. Fairness is what justice really is. I would ask the Supreme Court and the country as a whole to heed the advice of those who came before us and those who are speaking here today. It is time for us as a nation to invest in the democracy of the many rather than the tyranny of the few. Thank you.